right, guys, on this video, we're still working on the front, technically. It's just a time thing. But we wanted to go a little more in depth on the back axle. So as to kind of some tips and tricks. This is not going to be like a how to set up a Dana 44 specifically, but just kind of some things that goes across if you ever do have to work on your axle or change gears or something like that. This is just basic stuff that goes with anything. I had mentioned in the last video about honing out the bearings. And so on your carrier, you know, you have your carrier bearings on both sides. That's these two guys. These are the old ones. You could also see how pitted, I don't know if the camera picks that up.
Yeah, it does. You
can see how pitted they were. So I'd been hearing a little roar out of the front that I thought might have been a bearing, but the bearings look good. I do believe that this was what the roar was because they both look like that. But anyway, there are shims that go under here and then the bearing presses onto that. Now, those shims are what move your carrier side to side. So one of the things you can do on your carrier and your pinion ring or pinion gear is to hone out your bearings so that while you're in the test fitting process, you can remove the bearings. If you got to take a shim out or add a shim to it, you can do it without having to risk tearing the bearing up using a puller to get it off because it's pressed. So I've already honed this one out. You can see the old one. The old one sits up there like that and would need to be pressed on there, and the shims would sit under here. So if we had to pull the bearing off to replace shims, we risk damaging the new bearing.
Or the shims.
And the shims as well.
Because we boogered up that other set of shims pretty bad.
So you take your old ones. I got this little air grinder at Harbor Freight. I was like 20 bucks. Works pretty good. And you just hone it out to where it will just kind of sit down on there. You don't want a lot of play, no slack. And then that way we can do our test fitting. And then if we need to add a shim to it, all we have to do is pull the carrier, slide it off, do it, and put it right back on. And we don't have to worry about damaging bearings. Plus, it's a whole lot faster. So that's what I meant by that. And they all, like with this one, Dana 44s front and back. It's a good thing. You got two bearings on your pinion gear, do both of those. And you got two bearings on your carrier, just do both of those. And that way, while you're going through the fitting process, they tell you to start shim-wise with what came out of it. I've never had that work for me. Every time I've had to, I mean, it's a great place to start from, but I've always had to remove a bearing to do a shim or something like that. So that's just a real quick thing you can do. It don't take long, and like that, you can set up way, way, way faster than having to pull it, press it. Not to mention, you don't risk tearing your bearings up. So there's your tip for the day. Once I get done and feel like it's pretty close, I'll take some emery cloth and just kind of polish the inside up so that it will want to slide.
Some what?
Emery cloth. You can get that at Lowe's or anywhere.
Just sandpaper?
It's a sandpaper, but it's for hard metals. It don't gouge it quite so bad. Brakes are back on, hubs are back on. I just torqued the cover down. What I normally do is a thin layer of the gray gasket if it comes with one. Some differentials don't even come with gaskets. If it's got a gasket though, I'll just use it. Little thin coat of gray on the cover as well. Mash it together, finger tighten the bolts till it just kind of starts to squish around the edge. And then I'll let that set for a few hours and kind of set up good. Then I come back. The torque cover, the cover bolts torque, they call for 30 to 40 pounds. So I usually go 35, somewhere right in the middle. And so that is torqued. They say don't put oil in it for 24 hours. I'm not gonna give it 24 hours. I will give it overnight though. I'll give it overnight tonight because I'm kind of running out of time today anyway. So first thing in the morning, we'll come out, we'll fill this thing up with oil. We'll slap our steering arm on, because if I put it on now, I'm gonna have to pump the oil into it because like it's all in the way. And that is a pain in the rear because I just got a hand pump and it's aggravating. So I'll just fill it up straight from the bottle into the fill hole, and then we'll throw our steering on, pull it out, flip it around, and start on the back. All right, guys, we've got the back end up, the jack stands. We've got the cover bolts out, the wheels off, drums off. So about to crack this thing open, and we got the pinion, the yoke is off as well. There's just nothing quite like the smell of gear oil. All right, we're gonna get the axles out now. Get them slid out. The good thing about this is we got a new carrier. So once we get this out, we don't have to disassemble the carrier. We don't have to disassemble the pinion gear. Shouldn't have to, nothing like that, because there's no shims on the pinion bearing. So all those shims are in front of the race, if you remember from the front axle. I'm assuming the back's gonna be the same. So we should be able to just get this out, set it aside, and we'll be going back with a limited slip carrier from Yukon and all new pinion setup. So hopefully we can get through this one in just a few days. This is my outer pinion bearing. Supposed to be, it's not a press fit, but it is. But it's supposed to be rather tight. And I noticed once I took the carrier out that the pinion kind of came with it. Thought that was odd. And that's why. That's mighty, that's like something that's been honed out to do a test with. So that's all the way down right there. I can slide it on off. It's crazy. So now we clean up and get ready to start going back. All right, we're getting a new pinion set up. This is our old shim stack that sets the preload. Just a little tip thing, when you're taking these bearings apart, like, go over them with a fine-tooth comb, because these shims, like this one did, they'll stick because of the gear oil. Like, they'll stick to the front of the bearing, and these just came right off. So I would assume that was all of them. That was stuck to there, had no idea, and as I was wiping it with a rag and shaking it, it fell off. So just go over your bearings and make sure you've gotten. I've been taking a rag or even a razor blade, or if you can read the numbers on the back of the bearing, usually let me know there's not a shim there. But those little shims are sneaky, so. All right, guys, so I wanted to share with you a little issue I just run into that I was not expecting. I've got my carrier limited slip together, ring gears on, torque down, Loctite, all that kind of good stuff, and getting ready to set up my carrier bearings to start getting my carrier in, get my backlash set. And these are the old shims out of the front carrier. Some of these are from the other install kit, Same install kits, same part numbers, bought them from the same place, bought them at the same time. These all drop right on, no issue. The ones in this install kit, too small. It's ridiculous. And I mean, there's just no way to fold it on there or nothing. So my options are open every single one of these shims up with a die grinder, which I guess I can do. I don't really want to sit there and do that. So what I think I'm gonna do is just use old shims. I wasn't even gonna take the rear carrier apart. I was just gonna leave it together, but I think I will take it apart just so I can get the shims out of it now. And you know, at first I thought, well, maybe the Yukon, maybe this shaft is just bigger, but I mean, these are our test bearings from the front carrier, but they go on. I'm having to do it with my left hand and hold the phone and not knock it off the table, but they're a little tight, but they go on. That's how they were on the back. So it's not that the bearings are fine. It's just the shims. It's not. This is those little things you don't expect to run into, and now I gotta deal with this. So somebody's getting an email. All right, so there's our coast pattern. Looks pretty good. Our drive pattern's pretty good. According to our charts, it's all well within the acceptable range.
I like the little splash of purple. That's fun.
Yeah. So I'm okay with it. It's if you look up charts of unacceptable patterns, it doesn't look none of those. Yeah, it's all right within the acceptable pattern. So you just want a good pat where the good contact, but not too much contact where it's like bottoming out way down inside of there. You also don't want it riding just on the top of the teeth. You just want a good middle ground mesh contact like you would expect that you would have. And I would say that we have that. So now to take it all back apart, put the new bearings in and assemble it back together and hope that it matches again. All right, guys. Well, the carrier is done, pinion's done, all that, the internal ring and pinion part is done. I was able to knock that out in one day. I don't know what time it is, but it really didn't take that long. I already had everything apart, and my mind was fresh on it from doing the front axle, so I was able to go pretty well. We had a good pattern. Once I put everything back together with final bearings, I double-checked everything, double-checked my pattern, everything looked great. It was a little tough doing it by myself today. Andrew had a pottery show down in Petal, so had it by myself for the most part of the day. She came and filmed a little bit and offered me a hand, putting some tension on the ring gear while we checked our pattern. But we've got new bearings and seals for the rear axle. We've got it all out, so we're gonna do that tomorrow. I could do it today and have it all done today, but I'm just beat. I want to go. Judah wants to go fishing, and that sounds like a good plan to me. So tomorrow we'll do that. I procrastinated and didn't order the Yukon gear additive, so we're waiting on that anyway. So no big deal. I think it's gonna be here like Tuesday or something. So anyway.
So nervous in my life. He's back. I'm so nervous. Good.
It ran up to 70 like it was nothing just now on the straightaway, but I didn't feel like I was doing 70. It's way peppier, way lighter. It feels, I mean, it rolls when you pull out like feels like a regular car now. All right, guys. Well, we are done. It only took 3 weeks, but like I said, most of that is just our schedule. We already had a busy schedule, so this on there, but it's kind of doing one of these is kind of one of those things. There's never really a good time to do it, for us at least. So there just came a point where we just had to do it. So anyway, it's done. We've gone on a few test rides today. Super quiet, no whining, no roaring, no weird noises, no chattering from the limited slip, nothing. Everything is great, no leaks. And there is a tremendous improvement, as we expected, in the power. It just runs so much better. The only issue we have now is our speedometer is way fast. Before it was about 5 miles an hour slow. Lucy and Andrew went on a test ride while I had to go wash a house down, and they took it for some test rides and used GPS. How fast did you say it was?
It was 7 to 10 miles an hour.
About 7 to 10 mile an hour faster
on the speedometer than we were actually going.
Than what GPS is reading. So I've been looking online trying to find a new speedo gear. They make them for like 93 and up Jeeps. It's one of those things that you can swap out. But I'm not having any luck. So if anybody knows where we can get another speedo gear, if there's one, I think if the Jeep had 331s, I think one of those would at least get us closer. It wouldn't be exact, but I think that would at least get us closer than what this speedo gear that was calibrated for 272s did. But anyway, it's done and everything is rocking, man. We're done with it and excited to move on. Ready to go get back to doing fun stuff and not wallowing around on the shop floor smelling like gear oil. Andrew's gonna miss it. She had a lot of fun helping in the shop. Anyway, guys,
Good one.
Thank y'all for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, comment, all those kind of fun things. We really appreciate it. See you guys next week. Once I get done,
You look so cool.
cool guy.
Cool guy. Ooh. Oh my gosh.
No, I got one bolt left. No wonder. I was wondering, I was like, that should be popping off.